Welcome back to Andertons TV. Hopefully this will be a helpful video if you're new to the guitar effect that we call delay.
Delay.
So way before anything looked like this that a guitar player or a musician could use, if you wanted to get a cool sound of your voice or your guitar, your instrument echoing, you would have had to have used a device like one of these. This is a tape machine. This is a sort of a magnetic drum version of that called an echo rec, or it's a copy of an echo rec. And way back before machines existed that could replicate echoes and stuff, your guitar would have sounded like this. As soon as somebody invented one of these, your guitar could sound like this.
Magical.
Exactly.
It's magical,
that's a lot of fun, and of course you have heard the echo effect, or the delay effect as it's perhaps more commonly referred to these days. Way before we had pedals or digital ways of doing that, studio producers would have had tape machines or these sort of magnetic drums, and that's how it was done. And if you were a guitar player in a band and you wanted to achieve that kind of effect, you used to have to carry one of these around with you to your gigs, plug it into your guitar amplifier. The original version of this, the original Benson Echo Rec, was much bigger. Perhaps we'll put one of these on screen now. But you can still see, if you are a super tone aficionado of those kind of vintage correct echo sounds, you might want one of these or one of these.
One of these.
Most of us are going to use something that looks like this, and this is what we're talking about today. Today. Okay, so here are 5 delay pedals. There are
thousands.
What's
the thousands?
At least hundreds, if not thousands of pedals. And what we've kind of laid out here is there are, this is the important one here, because this is kind of the very first technology that was used in a pedal to create an echo effect.
Yeah.
And that was Electro-Harmonics back, I think, in the 70s, who used a bucket brigade chip, a component that you could run an audio signal through, and it would allow you to kind of create a delay on that signal, so you would then get your echo effect.
Yeah. It wouldn't look like this though. It's a bigger thing, but.
And it was interesting that the reason this one is second in the row is what we've got over here is now people using digital technology to emulate the tape effect that we showed you in the first place. So sort of, if you like, chronologically, if you like, tape style echoes would be the oldest. Bucket brigade or analog style pedals would be next. Digital delay pedals came around not massively long, I think in the 80s basically, so not hugely after the Memory Man, but again using digital processing to almost sample the sound and then repeat it and control that repeat. And then obviously what you'll find with a lot of digital delay pedals these days, and these are 2 examples of that, is these are pedals that contain all the different types of echo and delay in one pedal, and they do their best to sort of digitally recreate this.
Multi-delays.
Yeah, so we're going to kind of take you through each one of these at a time. Characteristically, I hope in this demonstration we'll be able to demonstrate how a tape echo sounds different to a bucket brigade echo, which sounds different to a digital delay. By the time we get to here, we're really just showing that there are millions of different types of effect that you can get within that arena.
Price range as well for
shizzle.
Yeah.
So let's plug in this UAD Galaxy. It is a reissue of a tape echo machine. And again, you can get tape echo pedals, anything from, tape echo simulation pedals, anything from 50 or 60 quid up to £300 or £400 if you want to.
Boss even makes their own one, the version of that old one they did before, so yeah, absolutely.
Right, give us a second. So, here's a tape machine pedal, effectively, and what characterises tape delay in a way I think that guitar players love to still hear and use and replicate. The idea of an original tape machine is the guitar would record onto one tape head, and then there would be multiple heads, 3 normally, later in the sort of the chain of the tape going through. And as the tape passed through each of these heads, where a note was recorded or a sound was recorded, it would play back through one of the heads. And what would happen with these tape machines is as the tape went round, the tape would get older and wear out. The motor in the tape would never be like, you know,
top speed. Yeah, everything would wear.
So you would get these really interesting sort of warm sounding degradations in the way that the echo decayed. And people came to sort of love that.
Yeah. David Gilmour.
Yeah, you get everyone from Hank Marvin, David Gilmour, loads and loads of players would have used those, but largely because there was no alternative to using that. But we got used to hearing that sound, and that's what guitar players love, and that's what they want to recreate. The other thing that those three heads did was you could have combinations of those heads.
Yeah.
So instead of having a traditional delay of going da, 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 which might just be one head, if you had two heads, you'd get da, 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 like that. So you can think of all of those kind of classic old Pink Floyd songs where the delay, or U2, you know, is a dotted delay. Although interestingly, U2 we'll come on to because they were more famous for using this kind of pedal. So I'm just going to show you a couple of the sounds. I mean, funnily enough, we've got some other delay pedals, by the way. You can go for tape machine replica pedals. You can go everything from the Tone City tape machine, which would cost you next to nothing on my hand and is very simple and arguably not super authentically accurate, right up to things like, you know, the Boss Space Echo, which actually when you look at it is copying all of the knobs that you would have got on the Space Echo, which is kind of cool as well.
It's very cool pedal.
Depends on this one is cool. This is a sort of in the middle price-wise and functionality, but sounds great. So let's have a little listen to a single head typical echo.
It's such a nice, organic sound. Fat, juicy, lovely sound.
Now, some of the names that you hear for delay or echo are common, and you'll see them across lots of pedals, and some different pedals use their own names. But typically, on a delay pedal, you're going to get one of the knobs is going to control the length of that repeat. So how much time is there in between the note that you play and when it repeats?
Yeah.
On the Galaxy, that's called echo rate. I would say it's more typical to see it as time, which is the word that Boss use. Electro-harmonics use delay, so how much of a delay is there going to be? Yeah. But that's the control for that. Interestingly, on the Galaxy and on a lot of tape machine replica things, you actually get this reverse sense. So the more I turn it up, it's replicating the faster me making the motor goes, so the tape goes round faster, therefore the delay time shortens. So actually on this one, if I want a longer delay, I turn this down. And that movement that you're hearing there is because the machine is replicating the motor actually slowing down.
So now, it's at the tempo. Yeah, so if you do that again, turn it back up, and I go, it'll speed up, and then...
We're going to stay on this single head delay at the moment, and I'm going to talk about the next control that is almost always called feedback. In fact, I'm not entirely sure I've ever heard it called something else. And the feedback is how many repeats are you going to get? So a single repeat, sometimes it's called a slapback, particularly if it's a very short repeat. So maybe we'll emulate that now.
That's good for stuff like a good. This doesn't have repeat. I've written me that bad, man. Look.
Doesn't have a...
Doesn't have feedback on it.
Doesn't have a, what do they call it then? Oh, repeats. They call it repeats, which actually is probably a more descriptive word. Anyway, so if I turn feedback up, you'll just get more. I guess there's a reason it's called feedback, because if I turn it all up,
Let's dance.
It feeds back. And interestingly as well, I think if you listen to any sort of experimental guitar players, I mean, sure, you've all got your own favourites, but you know, I've heard bands like Radiohead do it, Graham Coxon, or lots of experimental. They'll be literally playing a chord and then they'll be playing with the speed and the feedback in real time to get these kind of... Crappy example of that. I'm not really a shoegazer, but this, like, you get the idea, right, of moving it. Should we just quickly do a double head delay?
Oh yes,
thing,
let's do the. That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to show that. That Gilmore.
So on the Galaxy, you can see. I mean, again, different pedals will do it different ways, but we've got 3 heads to choose from, and the green LEDs on the side here show what heads are working. So we've got head 1 and 2 now. So you can hear that it's not such a linear repeat now. You got that going at different volumes and stuff. I mean, not all tape echo copy pedals will have this multi-head kind of feature. And again, right, I think we should move on. We've done enough about tape echoes, but so tape echo is where it kind of started. Let's go on now to analog delay. What are you actually playing? I mean, the Edge is so modest about his guitar playing. I think crazy modest level, because he will often say, look, all I am playing is this relatively simple thing. And using effects, particularly delay, obviously you create some very, very recognisable guitar riffs. Anyway, okay, so yes, in the 70s, Electro Harmonics came along with the Memory Man. This particular version of the Memory Man is slightly more sophisticated. You can run an expression pedal in the side of this, and an expression pedal is one of those rocker pedals, and then you can use the expression pedal to change in real time any of these, but we're not using that, so we'll ignore that bit. So let's talk about
as well. Oh, okay, right. Sorry.
So let's talk about what the controls along the top here are. So we talked about delay. In other words, that's the length of the delay. This now works very conventionally. So the more I turn it up, the longer the delay gets. So, well done. And the shorter I do it, feedback we already talked about. Pete's
the tap tempo.
Pointing this out. A lot of pedals actually now have the ability to just tap in. So instead of using the delay control to set the tempo, you do just sit and do that. It's really easy, especially if you're playing guitar at the same time. Now we've introduced this idea of some modulation as well.
Delicious.
So that's where you get this modulated chorus effect on the repeats, which is lovely, and again, very much part of that Edge kind of sound. This pedal allows me to blend between the dry sound, so in other words, no echo at all, or just, you'll notice the first strum, there's no... Not every delay pedal will have that effect, but it's kind of handy if you want to get that balance right. And then the gain is, because you can actually overdrive the delays to get more of a degraded kind of sound, you can control that on here as well. You're going to have to explain tap divides to me, because even though I've been doing it a million years, I still don't really understand.
Right, so you got, what have you got here? So you got off, and then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different ways that the division of the notes, that means how the repeat will come in. So let's say you're on a normal one, I would expect, let's say we got the tempo. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it does that, it sounds like a little naughty fart.
By the way, just listen out for the fact that each repeat, a bit like the tape pedal, just goes, it's just like, I don't know, but that, when digital came along, that kind of cured that, but guitar players went, I don't like it. I liked it when it did, anyway.
So that was, but this is also with no modulation on. So let's say I want some modulation on the, I'm going to overdo it a little bit.
Loads.
So So you can have that, you can, and the gain as well. So anyway,
It's unusual to have a gain control on, on a delay pedal, isn't
I
it?
like it kind of, but let's just turn the sound off just to make sure we can. So your divisions would be, like a dotted 8. Dot, dot, dot. Then you'd have a triplet. Dot, dot, dot. Dot, 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 dot. You have to make sure you get the tempo 3, 4. Dot, 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 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, right. So this is all just the rhythms of how the delay will come in. So this is I can't see it because I don't have my glasses on. This is the 16th. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So that would be your 16th. Then you got a triplet of the 16th. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Da, 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 da. And the longer you make it, of course. But unless you got the original tempo in your head, then these makes no sense at all. And then you got, was that a 32th? Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Da 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 da. And third. Da 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 da. And then you got da 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 da. This is your bass tempo, right? And you got triplets. Da 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 da. And then you got the dotted eights. Da 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 da. So this is all about how the delay will come in after you hit it. So da da. It could be da 2, 3, 4. It could be da 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 da. It could be da 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 da. It could be, you know what I'm saying. It could be. So it will be like. So Gilmore would use the dotted 8. So I'm gonna take that delay a little bit down. Let's get that little bit of feedback. Oh, where's the tempo?
You're doing
2,
that's
3,
feedback.
4, 1, 2. So that was tempo. All I'm playing is. With the modulation on. So look, you need to learn to know a little bit about your subdivisions, but that's just half and half, and whatever.
So that's a Bucket Brigade delay.
Sounds great.
Right? That's probably my favourite. And again, Electro-Harmonics have a whole range of Memory Man pedals that are all Bucket Brigade delay, but there are also other brands that do Bucket Brigade delays. And of course, when you're into some of these multi-digital ones, you'll get a digital replication of a Bucket Brigade delay effect. But there we go. That's that. They're good fun. And again, go check out links below to see where you can find out more about these. If you started to play guitar roughly when Pete and I started to play guitar, there was only one delay pedal that any shops used to stock in this country.
Or DD5, yeah.
No, DD3, definitely.
I had DD5.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'm showing my age.
Yeah, absolutely.
So very, very simple. Effect level to do the volume of the repeats. Feedback, obviously, is how many repeats. Time, we've talked about that. And then it had modes. So again, so that you didn't have the sort of the time control being very, very difficult to dial in. You just had these different basic modes of is it like a short, medium or long style delay?
Yeah.
So a digital delay in its sort of earliest, truest format is just going, if I play a note and I'm set to repeat that note 6 times and get gradually quieter as it goes away, it should be really
just the same,
transparent.
Yeah.
Just like
it's a copy of the first note.
Yeah, a pure copy. It shouldn't change at all other than getting slightly quieter as it fades away. And that became a digital delay.
Yeah.
I guess, lots of guitar players will have used that as well. So here's a, well, I don't know. I want
That's
a
a very short one.
Have less repeat, make it a bit longer. One of the things that the digital delay started to be able to do early doors that Bucket Brigade and tape could never do were much longer delays.
Yes.
So I guess, you know, all of a sudden, if you needed to go beyond that sort of, you know, 700 or 800 milliseconds, that was about the max that you could do with some of these sort of Bucket Brigade things.
That's as long as I can go as well. That's milliseconds.
Into milliseconds.
Yeah.
So, but as Pete just played that, that's not changing.
No.
There's
That's
no
just the same every
modulation.
time. Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, actually, were there any guitar players that really made the digital delay famous, or is it just a delay that's...
Wouldn't that be like all the 80s heroes back then when
They probably all did, like Slash and all those guys probably just had a DD3.
Slash, but I was thinking like Steve Vai and... You know,
Well,
they
had the
would
big rack mount,
but
Eventide
that was all
stuff.
digital delay stuff. So they wanted the cleanest of the cleanest. They wanted the also. I can imagine that's when effects loops. I mean, now we're going on a tangent, but effects loop didn't come in until much later on.
Yeah.
And that which means that we're running it straight into the amp, so we're getting the overdrive.
If I think about all of the pedals currently available today that are just a digital delay and nothing else.
Yeah.
Actually, it doesn't feel like there's that many. Most of it feels like it is, as soon as you go digital, it is all about going, what
I want so much
of delay do you want?
Yeah. In my humble opinion, there's too much. Too many options, man.
You do get option paralysis.
This can tap on its own, but you can also add a tap tempo in it. You don't even need stereo and all this stuff. That's when you get... Anyway, that's what I'm just...
Well, there we are. So that is
cool
about as simple as we can get. Digital delay, happy days. Thank you very much. So when you're into multi-delays, you can, you know, by the time you're up into products like the Strymon Timeline, you're aiming at guitar players that want to be able to have multiple different types of delay. You know, all the different copies of tape delays, bucket brigades, regular delays, delays that go in reverse, ducking delays, delays with modulation.
Stereo in, stereo out, MIDI capabilities, all of that
presets,
stuff.
so you might want to, you know, as you're setting through, you know, stepping through a typical gig, you might have 20 different types of delay. And
Loopers.
as Pete said, you know, you might be controlling that via MIDI. That's what you get when you're up into that sort of territory.
Yeah.
Something like the Flashback is incredibly popular, still pretty affordable, doesn't have any of that sort of MIDI stuff, but it basically just has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 different types of delay, plus this crazy, this is a specific thing to TC, they have this crazy thing called...
Tone print.
Tone print, yeah, where you can kind of download multiple, you know, other versions. So we're going to plug this in, we're actually going to plug it in stereo because that's kind of, you know... So mono input, one guitar in, stereo output. Then you start to get some of the things like, you know, ping pong delays, of all that kind of stuff. So this is the sort of, this is the end really of our little delay demo. Probably took us longer than we thought it would to explain some of these, but hopefully you've picked up on a little bit of the jargon and you've been able to decide what kind of delay pedal you're going to go shopping for next.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for watching.
Yes.
Links, all of this is below, and please like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.